How's it going, guys? Today's talk is baseball. I'm sitting here with my buddy Sandy, and we're here to talk about fantasy baseball. Sandy, as some of you may know if you've done Yahoo Fantasy Sports, goes by the name Safeco 1999 because for some reason he likes insurance.
No, it was named after the stadium that opened in 1999.
And that doesn't exist anymore, so it's insurance.
Yep, but the profile is so old that people think I'm actually born in 1999.
You weren't?
No,
Oh, okay then.
I'm older than you, buddy.
He may be older than me, but in the realm of fantasy sports, he can't beat me.
I put you over.
You can't beat me.
No, I put him over on purpose. That's what's doing the job and doing the honors. And you know, that's it takes a real man to put someone over and make them look good.
No, it doesn't. Anyways, we're here for you. Any one of you...
I haven't made a single mistake yet.
So what happened a couple days ago? Very big event in the world of Major League Baseball, the trade deadline. So here we are to talk about 4 key players that were moved at this year's Major League Baseball trade deadline that will have an impact in your and my and his
Especially
fantasy league. Player number 1, we'll start off with the first guy moved at this year's deadline, Marcus Stroman.
he sucks. So.
What do you think of Stroman though? Is he really that bad?
Yes, look at his strikeout numbers. He sucked in the was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't have the numbers in front of me.
But this year he's been good.
He's been good, but I don't know. Like, look at his advanced stats. Are they really supporting everything that he's done? His strikeout numbers aren't there, and you know, and the way that he left Toronto as well shows like the character that he has. He's a jerk. He has one good year.
But does that even matter in the world of fantasy sports? All you care about is this 2.96 ERA.
Well, I guess so, yes, but if that plays somewhere else, yes, maybe. It's impressive that he did in the AL East when they're facing the Yankees and the Rays and the Red Sox. But with Stroman, if he's not getting the strikeouts, he's hurting fantasy leagues because the average fantasy pitcher should be giving you 1 strikeout per inning, which he doesn't do. So long term, I think if he's based on ERA and WHIP and he doesn't have that, he's gonna suck. Especially New York, the defense sucks, and the clubhouse there is not very good either. So I don't know. Like,
I agree with that actually. You know, he has an XFIP of 4.05.
oh, you researched this? You didn't?
I did.
I didn't have time to research all that.
You knew about this days ago.
Yeah, but I was busy.
I came prepared. So yeah, has he pitched well despite a 2.96 ERA? I'd say no.
4.05 is pretty good actually.
It's decent, but
Well, not pretty good, but
his 2.96 ERA suggests he's elite, and his advanced metrics suggest he's not elite. It doesn't say he's bad, but he's just not the guy that you might think you're getting when you trade for him in your pool. So if you're a Stroman owner in fantasy, are you buying or are you holding or selling?
I don't think anyone's gonna buy Stroman at the value that you think he's worth. So I think it's like, I don't know, my profile as a manager is I'm not gonna undersell my players. And if I have a guy with an ERA under 3, unless I'm getting a big haul, I'm just gonna hold on and just hope that he just keeps going.
Fair point. In my league, I sold him a couple months ago for a 2nd round pick. I'm very happy with that. The next trade, we'll go with the one that happened right after the Stroman deal. Trevor Bauer. Now this is a guy who I own in my fantasy league. I actually just acquired him at the beginning of this season. Power Arm had a monster breakout season last year. Not sure he has too much going on up there. I mean, the way I like to see it is his last start for the Indians when he got taken out. He knew there were scouts in the stands, so he was just showing off how strong his arm was when he threw that ball in the center field.
From the mound, right?
From the mound. I mean, that was an impressive throw. So I really like Trevor Bauer. I think Cincinnati, you know, the ballpark factor there probably won't hurt him too badly. I don't think it's that much worse than Cleveland. And you look at what the Reds have done, reviving the career of Sonny Gray and developing Luis Castillo. I think he'll fit right in with that good group of arms in their rotation. How about you?
Well, I like to disagree on one thing. I don't think they revived the career of Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray was good.
He was awful in New York.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. He was awful in New York, literally. But on the road last year, he was pretty decent. And I drafted him in my leagues because I knew, like, out of that ballpark, New York is a pressure cooker. You get out of there, a lot of pitchers just do well, just out of that environment. So he was always a talented pitcher, and he's living up to it now.
You drafted him in your leagues, and how are you doing in your leagues, by the way?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of injuries, a record number of injuries, and I'm in last place.
Excuses.
So, but Sonny Gray, I actually traded him for Luis Castillo. I traded Sonny Gray and Paul DeJong in a package that I got Luis Castillo back. So I was actually a big fan of Castillo even before. I was hyping him a lot, and yeah, he's done really well in Cincinnati. And Trevor Bauer, I think, will fit in really well. I mean, Cincinnati has like one of the best starting rotation ERAs in the NL, despite their home park. Bauer, I think he'll be okay. I don't know how he will disrupt the clubhouse chemistry, but in terms of fantasy, I think he'll just do what he's doing. But I guess the question to you is, what is the real Trevor Bauer? Is it what we saw last year, or is it what he is this year and prior years?
You know, his walk rate is up, which is a definite concern, but he still has that power arm. It's still electric. He's not someone I would hold on to into his mid-30s when that arm strength is definitely going to decrease. But I think for the next 2-3 years, this is probably who he is. And I think he definitely has a role at the top of someone's rotation.
So define who he is. What's like a full season ERA whip?
ERA, probably around 3.5. I think that's probably where he's at. I don't think he's a sub-3 ERA guy. Because of his walk rate, I think his whip's going to be in the 1.1 to 1.2 range. He's not going to be like a Garrett Cole where you're looking at 1 or below. I have Cole too. But I do think he's a guy that either as your number 1 or number 2 in your fantasy league, you'd be happy to have him.
I think fantasy-wise, he's a good pitcher to own. The risks are there, but I'm biased against him. I don't really like him.
Keep him away from those drones too.
You should talk about the guys that went the other way, because that was a pretty impressive deal.
Actually, yeah, okay, let's do that. The guys that went the other way in that deal, the key players for your fantasy league, Franmil Reyes and Yasiel Puig. What do you think of those guys?
I think they'll fit in Cleveland. Of course, Cleveland paid a high price to get a rental in Puig. But
definitely,
I think one thing that, in the fantasy realm, you don't really appreciate Puig in the sense of what he does in real life, in that his arm is electric and he makes pitchers look better. And I think that's a key thing, is that
with the other team's pitchers.
No, no. Actually, on defense, I watched a few games where batters will hit a ball to right field and they'll just stay where they are, and that means you have to get another hit off the pitcher to do it. And he made Castillo and Sonny Gray look good as well. So you can't underestimate the impact that someone like that in right field or in the outfield has on starting pitchers as well. Reyes, lots of home runs.
27 home runs this year.
In San Diego, that's pretty impressive. One-dimensional player, I think.
Won't get you many RBIs unless he's bumped up the order.
Yeah, I think Cleveland really shored up their offense. It's pretty good. But they're depending on their injured pitchers coming back strong. But Puig, I don't know if the adjustment factor's there, going to Cleveland.
I see that.
If he struggles, but it's right across the street. It's Ohio. So.
True. He's a good team guy too, as you saw him jumping into the middle of that brawl. Next up, we're talking Green New Deal. Not the Green New Deal that a lot of you American people are familiar with if you follow politics.
I don't even know what that is.
We're Canadian, we don't know. We just know that. We just know about the Green New Deal.
Just get on with it.
Shane Green going to the Atlanta Braves. Now, Atlanta's a team that has struggled all year with the relief pitchers. They went out at this deadline and loaded up with a couple of relief pitchers. Now, do you think Shane Green, a guy who had, I think, 1 save in the past month,
Was it that bad?
It was that bad. Detroit's a really bad team. But do you think he's revived his value for the second half, going into the stretch drive of the fantasy baseball season?
I think Atlanta has done a great job with some of the scrubs they brought into their bullpen and made them look pretty decent.
Luke Jackson begs to differ.
Well, okay, how about Anthony Swarzak? They took from
Fair.
Seattle. He looked pretty good, but I mean, Green should fit in pretty well. I mean, it's hard not to when the rest of the relief corps just sucks. Atlanta also got a couple other relievers that should fit in pretty well. They paid a high price to Texas to get Corbin Martin, I think. Shane Green, I think you take any closer on the Atlanta Braves, though. You have to.
It's a great team. You know, he should get the saves opportunities. If he's available in your league, would you buy him?
For free off FA, yes.
But from another team, would you trade for him?
No. I mean, I'm biased against that. I don't buy fringe closers unless that's like my fourth closer and I'm paying like a 6th round pick, for example, in a keeper league.
You know, I'll disagree on that actually. I think at the start of the year when he was getting saves in Detroit, you know, he was one of the top closers. His ERA was low, his WHIP was low. He was getting a lot of saves. And I think going to a National League park in Atlanta, I think being on an actual contender, you know, he may not be your top 5 closer in the game, but I still think he's a guy who could be your first or even second rostered closer for a fantasy team that's going to the playoffs.
If he's your first rostered closer, you're in trouble, I think.
It's one category though.
No.
I value, at least from my perspective, I value hitters and starting pitchers a lot more than closers, but I like a lot of closers.
I think the days of looking at closers as one category players are passé. I came into your league and demolished everybody.
But you didn't win.
Okay, we've been over this. I let you win.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm still.
You can rewrite history all you want. But the key strategy that I had in his 1 year where I went 700 plus was I had relievers who struck out 100 batters and put up great ratios. And I think in those days, right now, if you get a closer who can put up saves and great ratios and strikeouts, you're actually going to be doing pretty well. We should talk about Zach Greinke.
That's the last one. Coming up, the big trade. Now, this deal was announced after the trade deadline had passed. It was a last minute deal, but the biggest deal of the 2019 MLB trade deadline was Zach Greinke being dealt from the Arizona Diamondbacks to the Houston Astros. Houston, that already has a stacked rotation, went out and made it that much better. What do you think of this?
I love it. I love it for both sides. You know, I was a Greinke owner, and actually I was working with a manager to trade Greinke for, was it 3 top prospects and 3 high draft picks? And actually, real life kind of came about the same way, where I think
there's a fly in here.
There's 3 or 4 prospects that change hands, and Arizona did awesome. They saved a lot of money, and they also got some really good prospects that they can, you know, they're lottery tickets. And on the for the Astros, I mean, of course, everyone's gonna talk about Cole, and they're gonna talk about Verlander and now Greinke. They're World Series favorites, so they're gonna be pretty good.
The Greinke deal, just for those of you who aren't aware, was for Corbin Martin, prospect, JB Bukauskas, and Seth Beer, and also Josh Rojas, whoever that is.
No, I don't know, but Bukauskas I drafted in my in the minor league portion of my league. He was a highly touted arm, and he's kind of taken a step back. I think same with the other prospects. They have a high upside, but they've kind of dipped in value this year. But I expect them to come back.
So is that Greinke, older pitcher? So for keeper leagues, I don't know how much you would want to trade for him if you're targeting him in your league's deadline. What about you? Do you see him as a valuable guy to trade for if you're looking for him?
Absolutely. If I'm a competitive team, which I'm not this year because of injuries, I am going after Zach Greinke because this is a guy. So in my league, I guess the difference is that we count quality starts.
Yep.
But you have wins. I mean, it's
Same idea.
Same in the case of Zach Greinke. He's not on any innings counts or pitch counts or anything. He'll go out. He'll do what aces do. And he's what, 36, but he's not showing any age-related signs of decline.
He's actually gotten better, I think.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
He's reliable.
His strikeout rates are right along career rates. So, you know what? If you're buying him, you're buying for a championship this year, and you're going for the next 1 to 2 good years I think he's got left. And then after that, he might enter a slow decline or might get some injuries, who knows. But I think he's a definite buy, but depends on the price. I mean, I got 3 really good prospects for him in my keeper league. But if I was on the other end, I'd probably try to do a similar deal and acquire a guy like that.
Yeah, I think if I'm owning him, unless I'm in the playoff race, I'm definitely selling for a top prospect haul like Sandeep got or like the Arizona Diamondbacks got. But if I'm even a fringe team that, you might make the playoffs, you might miss, just sort of on the bubble, I'm probably holding. I think this is a guy that can push you into a playoff spot. In Houston, that's great with pitchers. I don't see him declining this year or next year, even given his age. And also, if you don't make the playoffs this year, you still have an ace pitcher for your staff next season. In one-year leagues, obviously, none of this matters because you're probably not selling anyways. There's no point to sell. Yeah. But in keeper leagues, definitely, I'm probably leaning to holding him. Unless you're a bottom feeder team like he is and you're just trying to get rid of all of your older players for as many good young prospects as you can.
I'm usually a buyer of veteran players because a lot of people in keeper leagues are just prospect hungry and they will sell everything just to stash guys for no reason.
That's true.
Prospects turn over so much, they're so risky that there's no point in really stashing guys for 2-3 years unless you got like a Wander Franco or a Vlad Guerrero. A couple of years ago, I traded Michael Kepich and Josh Hader to get Greinke for the playoff run. I did the same thing the other way. And this year I got 3 good prospects back. So, like I said, on both sides, I think Greinke is a guy that you buy. And if you're not going to be competing in the next year or so, you better sell for a good haul. Right now, you don't really get a good haul for a 36-year-old pitcher in a keeper league. But what he's done this year, it's a definite sell on my part if you're not a top 4 team in the league.
Well, thank you guys for watching. That has been our coverage of the Major League Baseball trade deadline from a fantasy sports perspective. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notifications icon so you will be notified anytime I upload something new. And I will see you guys next week.